So here, we've started our lesson over exponential growth and decay. So you're welcome to pause the video and write what I have written so far. But this is all stuff you should already know. Now sometimes our b, instead of just being like, oh, we're doubling every time, so our b is 2. Or we're tripling every time, so our b is 3. Or we're cutting in half any time, so our b is 1/2. That's why that would make it decay. Sometimes it might be gaining 6% each time, right? So in this particular one, what would it be? Y starting point, 1,500, putting that into the bank. What's our B? 1.06, because we're adding 6%. So really we're multiplying up by 6%. We're adding 6% to the account. We'll take that to the 5th power. You'd type that into your calculator and you'd get an answer. So sometimes you need to think of it, if it's adding or subtracting a certain percent, it might look more like this. Okay, so I said 1 plus or minus the r. If the r is 6%, it's 0.06. I did 1 plus 0.06 and got 1.06. All right, just to get through this quickly, that would be $2,007.34. But after 20 years, we would have 1,500 times 1.06 to the 20th, and we would get much more money, like $4,800, $10.70. What if instead of money, now we're talking about a city. This city had 1,236,000 people. That's not Fremont. And it grows 1.3% per year for 10 years. What would my multiplier be now? I have a student looking like he's not sure if that's actually correct. Is that what you're thinking? Do you disagree with 1.13? Is it not right? 1.13 would be a 13% growth, right? So we need a little 0 right there so that it would be 1.3%, because remember the decimal really gets moved twice. So it'll be a very different answer if you put a 1.13, 13% as opposed to 1.3%. Do this and it grows from 1.2 million to about 1,406,413. On this one, we start at 752,000, but the city is decreasing in people. People are leaving. All right, so what is going to go in here if it's decreasing 1.4% per year? If it's 1 point something, it's going to go up. It's not going to be negative. If it's 0.014, that means it's 1.4% of what it was the year before. That means like 99% of the people left. Okay? We only are saying 1.4% are leaving each year. So yeah, this is why I wrote this up here. If you're increasing, you add the rate to 1. If you're decreasing, you subtract it. So if you can't do that in your head, just write 1 minus, and then whatever 1.4% is as a decimal, it's 0.014. That's 1.4%. And you could type that into your calculator, or you could actually subtract 1 minus 0.014, which is 0.986. This means that 98.6% of the people that were there the year before are still there. That is the same thing as decreasing by 1.4. So type that into your calculator, and after 18 years, this would be down to 583,448 people. All right, so I will ask you next to look at number 1 here. And just try A through D. A and B will be easy because they're the same thing we've just been doing. C and D are a little bit different, but still doable. I did not. Those of you at home, pay no attention to what's going on here. We just had someone majorly cheating over there.
Alexis Rasmussen is a cheater and a liar.
I thought you were just being really nice to me.
Did you legit say it?
Alexis, no.
Does that sound like me? I am nice, but okay, whatever. All right. So, did you get 2249.73 for A?
Yes.
9.
Yes.
Yes, that is what I got. That would be correct if I did the bubble.
How about 4051.63?
Yes.
However, C, we don't know the years this time. So, we know that 2000 times 1.04 to the x ends up being, because it's still the same starting point, still the same interest rate, but we don't know the years. That's what we're finding this time, but we know that the answer is 2,500. So, it's just a nice equation for us to solve. Anybody got this answer yet?
Why do you guys these problems always have 0.3 or 4 at the end? Like it's always 4%.
I don't even want to talk to her.
Actually,
Yeah, that's what I got.
If you want to give me a 0, you can. I'm not being a cheater.
All right, let's just move on. Here we go. You got to divide the 2,000 off first, okay? Then it just becomes a log problem. You guys are all good with this now, aren't you? What's 2,500 divided by 2,000? 1.25. So we know if you get stuck in an equation, throw a log in front. So we're going to throw a log in front of each side, except I'm going to pull the x out in front. So I have x log 1.04 is equal to log 1.25. And I get an answer of about 5.7 years. All right, so that's all we would do. I mean, D is the same thing. It's just ends at 3,000 instead, so I'll just tell you. It's 10.3 years if you want to try D, and the answer is 10.3 years. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the notes. That's really all I needed to tell you. Okay, the bottom is kind of what we just did on the front, so I don't need to do those right now.
You should just cancel homework.
that's so good.
We don't need homework.
This is the first, so the homework is numbers 127, 131, 132, and 133. Okay, 4 problems, but they're not, they do make you think a little bit. Okay, so real quick, while I'm still recording here, I'm just going to read this problem. It says Ryan has chicken pox. Okay, you guys may not have had chicken pox ever, but I did. They didn't have vaccines back in the 80s. All right, he was told that the number of pock marks on his body would grow exponentially until his body overcomes the illness. He found that he had 60 pock marks on November 1st. On November 3rd, it had grown to 135. To find out when the first pock mark appeared, he will need to find the exponential function that will model this blah, blah, blah. Ryan decides to find the exponential function that passes through these 2 points. Use these points to write an equation of the function. So here's what you're going to do on these problems. It's y equals ab to the x. Okay? Plug in 3 for x and 135 for y. 135 equals ab to the third. And plug in 60 equals ab to the first. This is like a system of equations. Okay? You could solve for a and b. You can't use elimination though. You got to use substitution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that a is equal to 60 over b. Okay? See what I did here? I just divided each side by b and got a by itself. Then I'm going to plug 60 over b into the other equation. All right? So that's how you're going to start that problem. All right? I will probably have a video later showing the exciting conclusion to this problem, but that will at least get you started. You should be able to solve for a and b and get the equation from that. Ready, break.